Welcome, welcome, my friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you as always by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge, smoke Camels for 30 days, and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. Well, friends, it's been another week of very bad news. But before we get to that, I would like to take a moment to wish my Christian friends a happy Easter and my Muslim friends a Ramadan Mubarak. Unfortunately for the Jews, we come up short this week, caught between Purim and Passover. So instead of celebrating, we're scrubbing and cleaning and shopping for Passover. Right after changing our clocks and losing sleep, which increases depression, suicide, and traffic accidents, we learned last week that the Earth's rotation is slowing and our days are getting longer. It turns out that the melting of the polar ice caps is leading to more water in the ocean, which has resulted in a greater bulge around the center. And if you think about the ice skater who holds her arms in, she's spinning really fast. And as she opens her arms out, her spin slows down. That's what's happening to the Earth. It's a matter of simple physics. However, there's a problem here. Our sensitive timing instruments it's forcing us to add leap seconds to our coordinated universal clock in order to bring it in line with the International Atomic Clock. Since antiquity, we measured with sundials, which measured varying lengths of day depending upon the season and location, and that was fine as long as you're traveling by buggy. But once you build trains across a continent, you need to have something a bit more reliable. And that is why in 1883, the railroads imposed the idea of a universal time with their time zones. Before 1883, every city had its own clock and it would strike noon. And the clock might strike noon in Big Rapids, a half an hour different than it struck noon in Grand Rapids, and it really wouldn't matter much. In 1960, we established the Coordinated Universal Time, which was measured by precise atomic clocks. But with the advent of the computer and satellite communication system, we really needed to synchronize our watches much more precisely. And in 1967, the second was redefined as the duration of 9,192,631,770 oscillations between two hyperfine states of a cesium atom. So now we have two ways to measure time, and they need to be precisely synchronized. And in order to do that, we have to add leap seconds to our days in order to keep things synchronized and together. We don't think much about the hidden infrastructures of our civilizations or how fragile they all are. Last week, I mentioned how fragile our technological systems are, and during the week, we saw how a single barge could lose power, hit a bridge, cause a major catastrophic uh, uh, accident, which will cause catastrophic supply chain disasters. And this brings us to another hidden aspect of our technological systems, and that is the insurance crisis. Around the world, climate change is impacting the ability to insure against catastrophic events. In the US, the housing crisis is being pushed to the brink as insurers struggle to cover homes impacted by natural disasters. And many insurance companies are leaving states like California and Florida because they have done the math and it just doesn't add up. You can't in California, they passed Proposition 10, which did not allow the insurance companies to raise their rates. And the insurance companies are looking and say, well, you can't, it just doesn't add up. You can't make a living this way. In states like California and Florida, private insurance leaving the states, the insurance market to the states, which are providing unrealistically low insurance coverage. The state insurers don't have the resources to pay for catastrophic losses, but it's as we say on our dollar bills, in God we trust. Insurance is fundamental to our entire financial system. Insurance is based on the idea of predicting risk. I've said before that human reason came about because of the predictability of events. Insurance is based on our ability to predict how often a catastrophic event will happen, and that's no longer possible. In the 1980s, billion-dollar disasters occurred about 3 times a year. Now they're occurring 18 to 19 times a year. Without insurance, much of our economic life would come to an end. We would, who could buy a house if you couldn't insure it. In 1968, we created the National Flood Insurance Program to cover homes in flood zones where private insurance was not possible. The government currently covers about 95% of all flood insurance, and Adam Schiff recently introduced a bill. Adam Schiff recently introduced a bill to cover fire and hurricane insurance as well. Programs like this are now being extended, and government is going to be the ultimate insurer. Again, based on the idea of God we trust. In Florida, the state came up with an idea of covering mega disasters by assessment of current insurers. If a $1 trillion mega disaster were to happen, Florida would be forced to assess every homeowner in the state about $60,000. We need insurance to cover risk, but risks have gone beyond our ability to insure. In places like Pakistan and the Caribbean, governments have been incapable of covering their losses, and the results in Haiti, for example, has been a complete collapse of the government and rule by gangs. Well, folks, that'll have to do for this week. Stay safe and take care, and I'll see you next week with more bad news.